Alright, and welcome back. I'm not actually at the land today. I'm just somewhere close by. Just looking at some trees that were planted maybe 2 or 3 years ago. Just thought I'd come and check it out. See what they planted, see what they're doing, see what is how it's turning out on the ground. So here we've got predominantly alder. There's some hazel. I think some aspen over here. It might be some silver birch in a couple of places, but I can't see any close by now. But it's kind of interesting, kind of the trees they planted. It's kind of, without talking to the owner, it's hard to know what the strategy or thinking was behind it. Because it's not, this is definitely, you'd probably plant these just trees if you're planting a native woodland. Generally, yeah, I mean, you can use the timber, but there's not so many high quality, high value uses for this type of timber. And as you can see here, the grass, this is what's going to happen on our land. You can see the grass and the rushes here are growing up quite a lot, and in some places it's hard to see the trees. So this is what's going to happen where we are as well. The spacing looks kind of similar to what we're going to be planting at. It looks roughly like 2 meters between the trees. Seems like quite a few of them have died or not growing so well. As you can see here, there's like a dead patch around this tree. It looks like it's probably been planted later. They call it beat up, where some of the trees die and they come in and they replant with a new tree. But obviously it's much smaller than the ones that were planted originally and have grown well. And as you can see down here, there's a little guard on here, so there's a vole guard on here to protect it from voles eating it. And as you can see, there's like a deer fence all around the wood up here, so that's keeping the deer out from eating the young trees. Oh yeah, I just remembered that I forgot to say what these dead patches were around the trees. So you can see around the trees, or where the trees were, you're getting a patch that hasn't grown so well, or the grass has died. So that's where they've been using herbicides to control the weed growth around it. This from the research which we've been looking at, it's unfortunate, but it makes a massive difference to the success rate of the trees and how well they grow. So yeah, it's one of those things, we don't really want to use herbicides, but you know, getting a forest established is hard work. I mean, just look here, there's nothing in this area here where there's probably would have been a tree every 2 meters. There's nothing there now. It just died. So I mean, this is even with herbicide, I guess you could argue, potentially, and it's still not worked. So it's definitely a big challenge. Yeah, and just to say that the reason you want to kill the weeds around it is that they're competing with the tree that you're planting with the nutrients and the water. And you kind of think, well, why not just cut the grass? You could just cut the grass and then surely that helps. Well, actually it doesn't. I mean, if you looking at the research, if you cut the grass around the tree instead of killing it, it just actually works harder and competes even stronger with the tree to get those nutrients. So yeah, it's an interesting kind of result in some ways. You think cutting the grass would help, but actually no, you've really got to kill it. The other option you've got is to put what's called a mulch mat round, and although it doesn't look like the research seems to suggest that doesn't really work very well either. And that basically, you'd put a mat around the tree, like say 50 centimeters in all directions from the tree, and that helps to suppress the weeds. So that would obviously help a bit, but actually the cost compared to herbicide is a lot higher cost. You know, it takes a long time to put each one out. You know, it takes even more time than actually planting the tree. Probably you've got to peg it down, and yeah, and it doesn't look like it's as effective. So it's a bit of a shame, because that is one potential option that we could use. I would say, I mean, obviously you don't know what has died here, so I mean, it looks like they've planted a birch here, so whether the birch have died and or whether something else has been planted and they've died and they've replanted it with the birch because they think it might work better. It's hard to tell. The trees that are growing the best, or at least the ones that are tallest here, are the alder and the aspen. I think it's aspen. Aspen's one of the trees more common trees I'm not so familiar with. Yeah, so kind of just interesting to see how it's growing. It's obviously it would be nice to meet the owner or the manager at least, and to hear about what they're finding is working or not working so well. I mean, as you can see on the other side of the valley there, it's pretty mature woodland. So from a guess, it looks like there's some birch and some oak, and probably some beech and some sycamore. So, and then a few conifers nearer to the top of the hill there. So definitely plenty of varieties growing around here. So in a way, I'd kind of think, well, why not plant some oak in here? But maybe the oak's died. Who knows? Right. I mean, there's not really much else to say. I'm just looking around now. So just I don't know. It's always interesting to come and look at somewhere else in a bit more detail. I've driven past this a bit and not seen it, so and not really coming at a proper look around. All right, well, yeah, thanks for watching this week. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying what you're seeing, and I'll catch you in the next video.